Chelsea's long journey to the Twin Towers of Wembley started back in January, with Ruud Gullit's cast of expensive stars easing through 3-0 against First Division West Bromwich Albion. Gianfranco Zola finishing off the scoring. The draw for the fourth round produced one quite outstanding tie. Chelsea drawn at home against Liverpool, then in an outstanding run of form, which continued early on at Stamford Bridge. Liverpool sweeping into a 2-goal lead, Stan Collymore adding to an earlier strike by Robbie Fowler. In a bid to bolster Chelsea's attack, Mark Hughes came on for the second half to immediate effect.
And not a bad ball in. Hughes did brilliantly. Well, what an inspired substitution it turned out to be. But they've kept it with Zola. Brilliant! Absolutely brilliant goal by Zola. And on it goes to Vialli. Unbelievable stuff. Zola's free kick. It's a good one.
An unforgettable comeback. Chelsea then faced an away trip to Leicester City. Roberto Di Matteo scoring one of 2 first-half Chelsea goals. It looked like there was no way back for the home side, but a characteristically gutsy effort in the second period brought Leicester the 2 goals they needed. Eddie Newton's last-minute own goal, meaning a replay at Stamford Bridge. In the replay, perhaps one of the most controversial penalty decisions in a season full of contentious debate over refereeing standards. Mike Reid penalising Leicester's Spencer Pryor for an alleged foul on Erland Johnsen minutes from the end of extra time. The replay shows there was no contact with the Chelsea man, and that left Leicester City's manager, Martin O'Neill, and Leicester's travelling support fuming.
Well, Keller has been absolutely magnificent for Leicester tonight. Will he be beaten here by Frank Leboeuf? He scored! Chelsea in front.
In the quarter-finals, Chelsea were expecting more of a fight than they got from First Division Portsmouth at Fratton Park. Chelsea looking imperious, winning 4-1, goals from Hughes and Zola, plus a couple from midfield man Dennis Wise. A London derby semi-final against Wimbledon was played out at Highbury in North London, in the special atmosphere that only the FA Cup can produce. And it also brought another polished performance from Ruud Gullit's side.
Leboeuf, what a great ball that is to pick up Zola. Must have been about 70 yards. Here is Zola, and now Wise is a smashing move, and it's bounced for Mark Hughes! Di Matteo, lovely turn from Zola. Oh, terrific stuff! And what a goal! What a goal from Gianfranco Zola! Ball off the head of Perry. Hughes can make it 3 here, and he does. 2 for Hughes, 1 for Zola, 3 for Chelsea, none for Wimbledon, and that caps it.
Before this season, Middlesbrough had never been in a major cup final, but they looked like a team destined for success as they hammered 3rd Division Chester 6-0 at the Riverside Stadium, the Italian superstar Fabrizio Ravanelli scoring twice. The 4th round draw brought Middlesbrough up against non-league opposition in Hednesford Town. The tie switched to the Riverside Stadium for security reasons, but Hednesford stunned the Premier League outfit early on when they took the lead through Joe O'Connor. The fairy tale was soon to end though. Firstly, an own goal by Colin Lambert to level the scores just before half-time. And in the second period, the Norwegian Jan Arge Fjortoft putting Middlesbrough in front. Fabrizio Ravanelli put the game out of Hednesford's reach, although they did score again late on. Borough were drawn away for the first time in round 5. A hard-fought tie at Main Road against First Division Manchester City, decided by a goal from the Brazilian maestro.
Fleming playing it back in, and it comes to Juninho. It's a goal.
In the quarter-finals, Middlesbrough travelled to Derby County, only 3 days after the North East club beat them 6-1 in the league. Not such a walkover this time, but Borough still won again. 2-0, Juninho and Ravanelli the scorers. The semi-final at Old Trafford turned out to be one of the most amazing and memorable matches in the whole history of the FA Cup. Middlesbrough clear favourites against Chesterfield of Division 2.
Sean Dyche. For Howard, who's just missed that opportunity, but now gets one past Blackmore, and then 3 in the middle here. Chesterfield. Davies snapped the ball. Morris has to score. Chesterfield lead. And Chesterfield have got Steele, and they've got Morris away. Can he make it 2? He will be a hero. If he does, he's still here. Morris. The keeper's brought him down. It's a penalty. So the captain, Sean Dyche, who hasn't scored a goal for nearly 4 years, is here, and he scores! But Emerson has knocked the ball through here, and Clayton Blackmore's into that area. The ball in for Ravanelli, and Middlesbrough have a goal. Two teams going for the other side's throat, and now Juninho. Oh, past Dyche, he's bought, it's a penalty! Juninho wins it out of Dyche. Craig Hignett. 2-2. Ravanelli. Here's a chance. Off the bar, and incredibly, surely Festa. That's the goal. Gianluca Festa. 3-2 Middlesbrough. And it's in here, towards Howard, towards Morris, towards Hewitt. I don't believe it! I do not believe it!
It was asking too much of Chesterfield to repeat their heroics in the replay at Hillsborough. Mikkel Beck, the young Danish striker, gave Middlesbrough the lead. Juninho believed he had given Middlesbrough a 2-goal lead on 26 minutes, and so did everybody else inside the ground. Even the scoreboard suggested the goal stood, but referee David Ellery had disallowed Middlesbrough's goal for a foul by Beck before Juninho scored. Still, the decision didn't affect the outcome. Ravanelli made it 2 in the second half. This time the goal stood, and with Wembley in sight, Borough turned on an exhibition.
Juninho calling for it. Still it's Ravanelli. Now it's Emerson. And that is 3-0. And book your seats for Wembley and Middlesbrough against Chelsea.
Well, the foreigners final, we're dubbing this one, a whole galaxy of overseas stars, 10 different countries represented today. Sprinkled throughout the team, Zola, Juninho, Ravanelli, Di Matteo, Emerson, Leboeuf, exciting names for an exciting occasion. And certainly from a neutral point of view, one hopes the sheer despair that the Middlesbrough players endured through their relegation from the Premier League won't have too demoralising an effect on them. The FA Cup final, one of the real showpieces of a game revered the world over, needs the talents of Juninho and company to illuminate the day rather than be suffocated by their remorse over the events of the last weekend. Well, Clements, alongside me here as a former FA Cup winner yourself. What early signs are you detecting about the two teams as they come out of the tunnel here?
Well, they both look very confident as they stood in that tunnel there. I'm sure there's a lot of things going through all the players' minds there. There's, certainly for Middlesbrough, this is their only chance to sacrifice what has been a season that promised so much and has finished with them failing in one cup final and being relegated. So this is the last stand for them, and there'll be so much going through their minds. And whereas Chelsea, I think, will be in a more relaxed mood. And of course, they've got big game players there in Franco Zola and Di Matteo.
The 116th FA Cup final, the 52nd post-war to be staged at Wembley. And if Middlesbrough triumph, there'll be a new name among the winners, of course. Their first appearance in the club's history today. While Chelsea are playing in their fifth final. Winners after a replay over Leeds back in 1970. That was at Old Trafford, though, not here. And Chelsea runners-up on 3 other occasions, including 3 years ago when Manchester United overcame them here. A crushing 4-0 defeat that day that will certainly serve to inspire the Chelsea survivors from that afternoon, Dennis Wise in particular. The two teams then heading for the presentations today, the guests of honour, their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Kent. And of course, the national anthem to come. I wonder how many of today's FA Cup finalists will know the words or perhaps even recognise the tune.
Well, usually they put up an electric scoreboard, so hopefully they'll be looking at that, those that don't know it.
It's a measure of the fantastic interest there is around the world in this cup final today. Over 160 countries taking the coverage, reaching an estimated 1 billion homes. I know Emerson, Juninho, Zola, so looking forward to meeting members of the royal family this afternoon. As the teams are now presented to the guests of honour. Nigel Pearson, the skipper of Middlesbrough, a man who missed part of the campaign, of course, through injury, and it was really only when he returned that they begin to show some stability at the back. Here's her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Kent. Chelsea, of course, captained by Dennis Wise. Graham Kelly on the Football Association. The word in the air. The national anthem. Pearson will lead the Middlesbrough players, introduce them to the Duchess of Kent. Festa, the Italian, Phil Stat included in the starting lineup today. Bobby Musto, who's worked so hard for the team, one of the unsung heroes really. There's Festa. He'll be looking forward to renewing his acquaintance with Zola. The two of them played together as youngsters back in Sardinia. There's Robbie Musto. Fleming, one of the full-backs today. He had to wait to hear if he would be in the starting lineup. So reply really to Clayton Blackmore, who's played here at Wembley many times from his Manchester United days and has had a super end to the season, having won his place at the Middlesbrough side. Former teammate of Brian Robson's, of course, at Old Trafford. Craig Hignett. And then the substitutes here, Mikkel Beck will be disappointed at losing out. Steve Vickers and Vladimir Kindler. He's Slovakian, and there is Brian Robson, who admits he's had problems this week lifting his players, certainly in the early part of the week. But come cup final day, well, hopefully their spirits will be high, and they'll be ready for the occasion. And so then to the Chelsea team. Frode Grodas, the goalkeeper from Norway. Dennis Wise making the introductions. There had been speculation about the Chelsea team beforehand, but no doubt that Dennis Wise was going to be in from the start. But Gianluca Vialli misses out today. He's only on the bench. Wood Hullet deciding not to include him. Hullet himself has had, he's had an ankle problem. That means he wasn't really in contention for a place today. And there's the referee, Stephen Lodge, introducing his two assistant referees, David Quick from the Surrey FA and David Horlick from Liverpool. With the fourth official, Peter Jones from Leicestershire and Rutland. So the introduction's almost over, and certainly some cheery faces there among the Chelsea players, right?
Well, there wasn't there? Dennis Wise, that cheeky chappie as he's called, a big beaming smile on his face from the second that he walked out the tunnel. And as he was doing the introductions there to the Duke, it appeared that he might be giving the nicknames of the players to the Duke rather than the proper names.
And knowing Dennis Wise, I've got a few. As Zola was saying, he thought he was learning English pretty well until he started listening to Dennis Wise. He said, I couldn't understand a thing. So there we are. The two teams presented to today's guests of honour and almost ready for the fray. The two teams will break to their respective ends in a moment or two. Chelsea, of course, who finished the league season a very creditable sixth. Their first campaign down the route of it regarded as a highly promising one. And in contrast to the task that Brian Robson has had of lifting his shattered troops for one last conflict this afternoon, Pruitt has had a trouble-free run up to the final, with his players able to concentrate fully on the matter in hand. 76,000 in Wembley today. A great occasion and a fabulous atmosphere. Well, let's take a check on the two cup final teams, starting with Chelsea, who line up then with Norwegian Frode Grodesh in goal, Steve Clarke in central defence along with Frank Leboeuf, and places two for Scott Minto and for Eddie Newton in midfield. As expected, it's the new Footballer of the Year, Zola and Hughes up front, which means there's no room for Vialli, although, as I was saying earlier, he is on the Chelsea bench with Craig Burley and Andy Myers, right?
Well, certainly we expect them to play with a back four, which will slightly surprise a few people, but Frank Sinclair playing on that right-hand side at right back, and Dan Petrescu pushing on the right-hand side. But the person we'll all be looking for throughout the game will be Gianfranco Zola.
Well, most of the pre-match attention for Middlesbrough centred, of course, on Ravanelli's fitness fight. And with his back problem sufficiently eased, he takes his place up front. The other main foreigners at Borough, Fester, and the Brazilians, Emerson and Juninho, of course, both start. In defence, Brian Robson has chosen Blackmore and Fleming as the two fullbacks. Outside, twin centre-halves, Fester and the captain, Pearson. No place for the Danish international back then. Phil Stamp is included in midfield with Beck, one of the substitutes.
Well, they'll play with a back four of Fleming, Pearson, Fester and Blackmore. Blackmore is a little bit of a surprise because they've had a problem at left back. Big test for Ben Roberts today in goal. This is a massive match for a young goalkeeper. And as you can see there, Juninho will play off Ravanelli, total free roll, and the man that they see can win the game for them.
Well, Gianfranco Zola admits he's found it hard to take it all in, really, all that's happened to him since he's arrived in England. Italy's winning goal here against England, his selection as Footballer of the Year. What an honour that is for him. And now here he is playing in the FA Cup final. Well, Chelsea have Zola, Middlesbrough have Juninho. His talent has shone through like a beacon in recent months. Like Zola, he's entranced the nation. And how dearly he would love to depart on a high, if indeed this is to be his Middlesbrough swan song today. Well, no doubt about it, Ray, two central characters in this afternoon's match.
Well, certainly Juninho, he's been magnificent through all these hard times. Since Christmas, I mean, he has just worked his socks into the ground. He really has. He's been a tremendous player for them. And if you feel sorry for one person, it would be him, that he's actually in a relegated side. And obviously everybody's wondering what's going to happen after this game. And of course, Gianfranco Zola on the other side, exactly the opposite's happened to him. He's had a fantastic season, which culminated on Thursday night with him being presented with the Football Writers Footballer of the Year, and quite rightly, because he, along with Hughes, have been such a tremendous influence on the side.
Juninho, of course, runner-up. Well, there's the referee today. It's Stephen Lodge from Barnsley. The third time he's been involved in a big match here. Of course, his first FA Cup final. He was the fourth official back in '95. Brian Robson, well, I wonder what's going through his mind now. It's been such a roller coaster ride for Middlesbrough this season. And now he'll be looking to the incomparable talents of Juninho to lift the Middlesbrough players. Emerson, well, he maybe lost a few admirers last weekend when he stormed off when he was substituted during that final league game. But he says he's up for it this afternoon. And no one, he claims, wants to win it more than he does. Mark Hughes, his fifth FA Cup final. Ruud Gullit, the first foreign coach to take charge of an FA Cup final team. Well, the endless transfer speculation surrounding the overseas contingent certainly won't have aided Middlesbrough's cause. It's bound to have an unsettling effect, especially the news that Juninho was to leave to safeguard his international future. But that's all behind them for the moment as Middlesbrough get us underway, attacking from right to left. Will Ruud Gullit then crown Chelsea's excellent season by becoming the first foreign coach to win a major trophy in England? Or will Middlesbrough, so beleaguered by recent setbacks, defy the odds to become the first team to take home the FA Cup in the same season that they've been relegated? Here's Juninho. Wise for Chelsea. Rolled on to Di Matteo. He has Hughes making an angle run ahead of him and opened up some space. And a goal! Oh, fantastic start! Roberto Di Matteo. Inside 45 seconds.
Well, that was an incredible goal. Middlesbrough backed off, and Di Matteo just kept running with the ball, and eventually thought the only option was to have the shot. And what a strike it was. But Middlesbrough will be disappointed that they backed off so far and allowed him to have that shot. Just see how much time he has on the ball here. It's a simple pass to him. He looks up, he runs with it. Mark Hughes makes a tremendous run here to take the centre-half away. Watch him break away there to the side. There's the space opened up. And Ben Roberts really will be disappointed. That's gone in the centre of goal, right over the top of his head. But it did dip viciously, and it was a tremendous strike.
And it may well be the fastest in FA Cup history. We'll just confirm that for you in a moment. The run from Hughes helped to open up the space then for Di Matteo, but as Ray is saying, it was woeful defensively, really, from Middlesbrough's point of view. It's the fastest goal by 2 seconds. Di Matteo, the Italian who's brought his family over from his home country to watch him today, and my word, they'd have enjoyed that. 43 seconds on the clock when Di Matteo struck his shot so venomously past Ben Roberts.
Well, that's the last thing that Middlesbrough needed. You know, their character was always going to be tested this afternoon, having had the terrible upset last week of going down. But now to go a goal down this early in a cup final, I mean, it's going to be the biggest test possibly Middlesbrough have had of their character throughout this season now.
Stan Mortensen back in 1955, scored after 45 seconds, and he's beaten it. Di Matteo. Ravanelli offside. Well, they've got to calm themselves down now, Middlesbrough. Regroup. Ravanelli, 31 goals for Middlesbrough this season. There have been a big doubt about him playing this afternoon, right up until, well, last night, really. The problem that he suffered after he had to limp off against Manchester United. Shepard move for Middlesbrough. Now by Fester. On Mark Hughes. He played his part in the goal with that decoy run.
Well, that's going to be a battle throughout this game, isn't it? Fester and Mark Hughes. I mean, Fester's a hard tackling Italian, and Mark Hughes will stand up for himself throughout this 90 minutes. That's a certainty.
Sinclair operating as an orthodox right back for the moment, anyway. Hicknett. Goes Di Matteo again to threaten the Middlesbrough goal. Hicknett tracking back with him. And Hughes making no headway. Juninho. Running it on for Ravanelli. Off goes Peyton Blackmore, then Juninho to take over. Ravanelli. Stamp who's made the forward run, and goes Emerson. And a courageous header away by Steve Clark. Some pressure then from Emerson. Actually, Stamper sneaked into a very useful position there with his forward surge. Pearson will be one of the targets in the centre, along with Fester, who has also come up from the back. That was Pearson. And actually not that far wide of goal. Archie Pearson, the Middlesbrough captain. He has been such an inspiration to them in the past few months since returning to the side after injury.
Well, it was a free header, wasn't it? It was poor marking. Frank Sinclair let him get away there, and certainly it was a free header, and one that he should have hit the target with. Maybe he just saw it a little bit late as it came over the two bodies in front of him.
Strong challenge by Hughes, whose muscular presence is certain to be a feature this afternoon. Here's Robbie Mustoe. He's read his intentions there. Now Zola to Newton. Hughes linking with Zola, as they have done so effectively in recent weeks. Sinclair. Now Petrescu. Forward by Leboeuf to Wise. Petrescu again, the first Romanian to play in an FA Cup final. Eddie Newton with the back pass to Frank Leboeuf. Well, we were hoping for a high-scoring open cup final, and the early signs are very encouraging. This is Hughes. Eddie Newton, who has that anchor role in the midfield. Juninho confronted by Leboeuf. Wise. Now Zola. Hughes ahead of him, support too from Sinclair. Zola. Emerson sliding in, fair tackle. Fester for Middlesbrough. Wide to Blackmore, who started on the right. We had expected him to be on the left, and Curtis on the right, but it's the other way round. Robbie Mustoe. Blackmore again. Ravanelli just fractionally offside. That must have been a pretty close call there. In fact, it was Stamp over on the far side, not Ravanelli, but Juninho through the middle maybe had wandered as well.
There was a bit of a surprise, the two fullbacks switching over, but as we mentioned before, that they have had a problem with the left-back spot. They've never really had anybody all season who's been confident there and done well. And, you know, we were all told beforehand that it would be Curtis Fleming on the right and Blackmore on the left, but they have swapped over. And it'll be interesting to see how that develops, whether Curtis Fleming is settled there, because I saw him play there early in the season, and I don't think he's the most comfortable player in that left-back position.
This is Emerson. Now Clayton Blackmore, who can of course operate in midfield as well, so that's always another option open to Brian Robson. Wise. Chelsea have started in very confident fashion. Their early reward, the goal on 43 seconds from Roberto Di Matteo. By Newton to Zola, and Di Matteo working it back to Sinclair. Another aimless pass by him though, picked up by Stamp, and Blackmore to Juninho.
Well, Sinclair, that's not the strong part of his game, is it? The long passing game. He's a tremendous defender, very quick, good man for man marker, but his actual distribution at times sometimes does need to be improved.
Oh, lovely skill by Juninho. Off goes Stamp. Wonderful vision then from the Brazilian, who turned in the twinkling of an eye and so nearly released Phil Stamp.
Well, it was good goalkeeping there by Grodas, because certainly if he hadn't got a good starting position, Stamp would have had a real opportunity with that pass.
Hughes, there are few players better than him at holding the ball up. Di Matteo, lovely little ball through. Scott Minto came herring through then, almost won the sprint with Ben Roberts. Very alert goalkeeping to deny Minto. Juninho, that deck flick on. Hignett. No, given away. Too cheaply as well to Petrescu. But certainly another scare for Middlesbrough. Hignett wandering back there.
It was a great ball from Di Matteo there, wasn't it? And Ben Roberts just has that little bit of luck that goalkeepers need, made himself big, and he was hit with the ball and just took enough pace off it for the clearance to be completed. But it was a superb ball from Di Matteo there.
He's on the ball now, wide To Minto. Here's Dennis Wise. Scampering figure in the midfield for Chelsea. Broken up by Pearson. 10 minutes gone. Chelsea 1, Middlesbrough 0. Di Matteo inside the first minute. The fastest goal in FA Cup final history. Hughes. That was good defending then by Blackmore to snuff out the danger. Clark against Ravanelli. Playing right up front, but with plenty of support from the midfield, he hopes, from Juninho, Stamp and Co. and Emerson, of course. All Fleming with a loose pass. Almost let Hughes in. And they have begun a little nervously, you have to say, Middlesbrough.
Well, certainly the likes of Hignett and Fleming and Musto have started off very nervously, giving the ball away under no pressure at all.
A great ball initially from Ravanelli, not so from Hignett, who received an icy stare then from Fabrizio Ravanelli. 6 goals in the FA Cup from Ravanelli this season. Chelsea have a man down, injured at the moment. Hughes. Oh, what a competitor this man has been down the years, Mark Hughes. And generally a feeling that maybe this is as good a season as he's ever had in terms of his all-round contribution.
Well, I think so. I mean, when Vialli was brought and Zola were brought into the club, everybody expected those two to play together. But Mark Hughes, being the professional he is, he's got in the side and played so well and has linked up as the ideal foil for Zola. And as I mentioned earlier, I think, you know, those two, as much as anybody in the side, have been the reason they've been as successful as they have been this season.
Hughes. Festive has timed his jump completely there. Here's Emerson. Middlesbrough really need him to get his game going. He can be so influential, the Brazilian, but he can be so moody too. He says he's been suffering from an injury, a knee injury, for the last few weeks, which has hampered him. But no question his form had dipped in the last few games of the campaign. Notably against Leeds last Sunday when he had to be taken off. No definite decisions as to whether Emerson will be going, but it seems he will be. Possibly to Serie A in Italy. Ravanelli, who it seems will also be returning to his home country, with Milan, Inter, Roma leading the chase for him. Here's the former Juve man now, then to Clayton Blackmore, Juninho, Ravanelli. Broken up by Newton. Hughes, let the cushion header down for Dan Petrescu. Zola drifting to his right, and Sinclair in support as well. Zola. Now Petrescu. Hughes was lurking in the middle, Wise as well, but a comfortable save for Ben Roberts, who began the season out on loan and indeed was the third choice then for Middlesbrough. But they have injuries to Brad Schwarzer now. He's cup-tied anyway. So Gary Walsh out injured, of course. Alan Miller has moved on to West Brom, so Roberts suddenly finds himself thrust into the limelight. Di Matteo on to Petrescu, and now Sinclair. Here's Di Matteo again, the man who stunned Ben Roberts with that strike in the first minute. Sinclair. Now Petrescu. Up by Zola to Hughes. Good link-up play from Chelsea. Hughes showing his strength now. Away from Pearson. Fleming blocking his path. Excellent work by Hughes.
Well, it was magnificent work because he held it up, waited for support, and there was just none came to him, but he kept hold of it and kept possession, and that was important for his side.
Juninho with Ravanelli. Hignett. On by Fleming. Ravanelli offside, maybe Staff as well. And they're not reading this offside trap too well so far.
No, they're not. You know, Ravanelli's moaning at the midfield. He needs the ball being played forward a little bit earlier, but he's got to be a bit more patient. I know it's difficult when you're a goal down. You want to get that equaliser, but you've just got to show a little bit more patience and intelligence with your runs, especially against a well-drilled Chelsea defence.
The sun beaming down on Wembley and shining on Chelsea at the moment. Di Matteo, whose goal divides the two teams. This is Musto for Middlesbrough. Hughes then to win it back. His early zest, his determination and commitment has been so commendable. Bester. On by Musto. Here's Juninho. Scorer of 15 goals this season. 2 of them in the FA Cup. Ignat swapping passes with Fleming. Here's Zola now. He has support from Minto. Little short with the pass though, Zola. Minto did well. He's gone sprinting down that left side, on by Wise. Good movement again from Chelsea. Wise from Di Matteo. Here's Frank Sinclair. Petrescu's touch. Now Sinclair, slipping past Ignat. Well, Bester was blocking his path. Little clash between the two.
Well, I think Sinclair there moaning that Bester used his elbow, but I think it was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Sinclair certainly near pulled the shirt off Bester in the end. I don't think there was any disputing that it was a free kick, but here we see it. Delightful move again by Chelsea. A little one-touch football, gets Sinclair in round the back. Desperate tackle from Ignat, doesn't quite make it. Now we see it. Now look, the two of them. I mean, Fester's just give him a left-hander there to Sinclair, but it was the pulling of the shirt from Sinclair in the first place that stopped the move.
But Bester certainly has suffered from a lack of discipline since he's arrived in England from Inter back in January. He's been cautioned 8 times. Maybe lucky there, the referee took a lenient view. Blackmore. Sinclair tracking back to cover the run of Emerson, but the Brazilian is in possession now. This is Ignat. Too long for Ravanelli. And Rodas, maybe they're underlining that if there is a weakness in his play, it's on those crosses, Ray.
Well, certainly it was a deep cross. He was always chasing after it and couldn't quite get both hands on it to hold on to the ball. And certainly, I'm sure Middlesbrough looked at that and say, can we get a few more good balls in like that?
Well, there is a suggestion that this is a vulnerable side to his game, dealing with crosses. Ignat seemed a fairly routine save, in truth, didn't it?
Well, it did really. Look, he's only got one hand on the ball even, and there's a lot of talk inside the game that sort of goalkeeper is an area where Chelsea are looking to try and improve for next season.
Grodash, who was signed earlier in the season, initially on loan as cover for Dimitri Karin, who of course was out, or going to be out for the rest of the season. Grodash eventually signed on to stay with the club on a full-time basis. And is now keeping out Kevin Hitchcock. Frank Leboeuf, such an elegant defender. This is Eddie Newton. Made by Fester, but it's Newton again. Zola making a little run ahead of him. Petrescu, Hughes, Petrescu again. The idea was there, and some of their approach play has been very impressive so far, Chelsea.
Well, it has. They've played around the box, little one-touch stuff, 1-2s, bouncing the ball off Hughes. There we see it again. Just a little bit too much pace on it there for Petrescu to get onto, but the idea was right, just the technical side of it just slightly wrong at the end of it. And Petrescu shows his frustration because he knows if the pace of the pass had been right, he would have been in.
Chelsea, who have lost only one of their last 16 FA Cup ties. And that in the semi-finals last season. Well, Pearson clashing men with Hughes, and it did seem that the Middlesbrough man pulled him in the face. I don't know if Stephen Lodge had a good view of that or not. He certainly is taking no action. Hughes a little gingerly, back on his feet now.
Well, certainly there was contact there, wasn't it, from Pearson's arm across Hughes' face, but whether it was deliberate or not, only Pearson would know.
Again, Ravanelli offside. 20 minutes gone in the first half, and he's been caught really far too often so far. Wonder how match fit he is, Ravanelli. He's been back in Italy receiving treatment for the injury he sustained at Old Trafford. Of course, he missed the last 2 league games of the season.
Of course, the problem is when you send a player back abroad to have treatment, then you're never totally sure exactly what sort of training he's doing while he's out there, and therefore he comes back to you and you're not sure about what his fitness levels are for a game of this importance.
It also didn't go down too well, I think, with some of his teammates who felt he should have stayed in England. Juninho through for Ravanelli. What a good tackle that was then from Sinclair. A vital interception as Ravanelli went marauding through. That was far more promising for Middlesbrough. Ravanelli calling for assistance. He's not happy.
I think Ravanelli's saying that's it, his back's gone again. He's certainly signalled to the bench that you know, it's time for me to come off. He's not happy with that tackle at all.
He's limping off the field now so that he's not caught offside. But he's clearly looking in discomfort. Here's Hughes again, holding it up so well. Petrescu then hoisting it forward. Dennis Wise looking over on that far side. That was Blackmore to head it out. Well, Ravanelli clearly in trouble.
Here we see the move there, and Sinclair does well because he leaves it there and it looks as though he's missed it, and he just stretched out and you can see.
Petrescu going through. Another close call. Dan Petrescu, who's had an excellent start to the game. That little chip through from Di Matteo. He was onto it in a flash there, Petrescu, but maybe the endeavours of Ben Roberts just did enough to deter him. So Ravanelli being helped away, and they are preparing Nickelback to come on. So the gamble has not paid off for Brian Robson. Zola. Here's Di Matteo. His back is about to come on. Dennis Wise. Here's Minto. Now Petrescu. It's good policing though by Fleming. Bester caught out Petrescu. He has really risked the occasion so far, the Romanian. Again, some trickery defending by Middlesbrough as Nickelback comes on in place of the distraught Ravanelli, who's being consoled over on the bench now. Beck, who we had maybe expected to be in the starting lineup today, but kept in reserve. Now he has his chance. They were so anxious to have Ravanelli in there. But
I think there's also a problem with Robbie Mustoe as well. Yeah. He's just gone across the bench and spoke to Viv Anderson. I think there's a problem with him as well. So at the moment, for poor Brian Robson, it's all going wrong for him.
Because at Kinder, the other 2 substitutes, again, there had been a lot of speculation that Neil Cox would be on the bench. Because he could be an emergency goalkeeper if the problem that Ben Roberts has worsened. Roberts himself is playing with a damaged elbow. So Mustoe struggling, Ravanelli off. It's all turning sour at the moment for Middlesbrough. Emerson. This is Stapp and Juninho. Just skipping past Zola. Stapp. Cutting inside Minto. And a fine tackle then from Steve Clark, the veteran defender. Off Off goes Zola now. No, Pearson had stayed with it. So solid work at the back from Pearson. Here's Musto. And I don't think he is going to take much further part in this game, Musto, on looks of things. Vickers preparing to come on. 25 minutes gone. The Dwarf marking tightly on Beck. Here's Dennis Wise, then for Minto. Certainly Chelsea have been much more fluid so far. They've scored one goal, it could have been more. Blackmore, who maybe will switch into midfield, we'll wait to see. Juninho losing out to Di Matteo, and then it's Newton to Wise.
What amazes me is Middlesbrough haven't put the ball out of play when they've had possession of it, because certainly Musto is struggling in the middle of the field. They're desperate to get the substitute on, and yet when they've had the ball, they've actually kept it in play.
Here's Musto now. Free kick to Middlesbrough taken quickly. Juninho. Blackmore trying to find some room down that right side. Beck wants it in the middle. Not the best of service though. Easily dealt with by Sinclair. Hughes. Blackmore. Wake up Chelsea with Wise. Finding Petrescu. Zola, never thoughtful, ever inventive, but not this time creative enough. As he tried to pick out his compatriot, Di Matteo. I was saying earlier on, Di Matteo's family here, including his partially sighted sister, who's having the game described to her as she sits and takes in the atmosphere today. I'm sure she'll be fully aware of what happened in that first minute when her brother scored the opening goal. Eddie Newton to Dennis Wise, a winner in '88 with Wimbledon, but a loser of course in '94 when Chelsea were outplayed here by Manchester United. Frank Leboeuf. Chelsea dictating the game at this stage. Here's Di Matteo. Hughes calling in the middle. Zola has come short though for Di Matteo. Quite prepared to be patient, Chelsea. Steve Clark. No question, they've been the more confident side so far. Here's Hughes. Petrescu heavily involved again. But the interception by Blackmore. Now Juninho. This is Hignett. He's got a good cup record down the years. He's scored 10 times in the FA Cup. Overhitting his passer in search of Stant, who was offside anyway. And now, at last, Steve Vickers can make his entrance in place of Robbie Musto. So another setback for Middlesbrough. Another blow to their plans. Steve Vickers, who's a strong and experienced defender. Now, what are they going to do here, right?
Well, it appears that Vickers has gone straight to the back with Pearson, and they've pushed Bester into a holding role in midfield in front of the back four. But when Pearson and Vickers have played together at the back, and they have been suspect to anybody with a little bit of pace. That's a certainty.
Vickers appealing in vain for an offside flag. Dennis Wise extending Clayton Blackmore. And they need to get him away down the right a bit more often, Blackmore, if they can, Middlesbrough. There's no real service coming in from either flank. Robbie Musto being consoled as he explains the extent of the damage. Viv Anderson, Brian Robson's assistant, his former Manchester United teammate, of course. They've linked up with Middlesbrough. Enjoyed some very successful days. But it's not going too well for them so far this afternoon. At the end of what has been for Middlesbrough a very long and arduous campaign. Festa. Here's Stamp. Bobby Musto has departed with a knee injury, and it is indeed the hamstring flare-up that is troubling Ravanelli again. The injury wasn't quite as serious as they feared at first when he went off at Old Trafford. Clearly, it hasn't healed well enough yet. Half an hour into the first half. Chelsea lead. Middlesbrough have had to make 2 substitutions. Beck in the middle. What a good save that by Grodak, who came out very quickly and had one eye up short. Mikkel Beck. Petrescu. Now Juninho. Middlesbrough just beginning to impose themselves a little more now. Emerson couldn't get the right weight though on the through pass.
Well, if I was Ruud Gullit at the moment, I'd just be slightly worried, because Chelsea throughout the season have been in control of games and not killed sides off and then finished letting them get back in it. And that's the situation that's arisen in this last 10 minutes. Middlesbrough have had 2 players taken off with injury. Chelsea are in total control of the game, but are not testing Ben Roberts enough and not putting Middlesbrough under enough pressure in the last third of the field. And that's allowing Middlesbrough to gain a little bit of confidence and put 1 or 2 passes and good moves together.
Clayton Blackmore. Now Juninho. Neat skill from the Brazilian to find Fleming. Fleming, a Republic of Ireland international, linking with the Brazilian Juninho. Now Petrescu. Really is a cosmopolitan final with so many overseas stars on parade. Zola. Now Minto. Taking his chance to surge forward again with Hughes. Here's Zola. And Di Matteo. Stamp back defending. Scott Minto has taken a bit of a knock over on the far side at the moment.
Yes, he was blocked off there. He played a ball and went for the second ball off Mark Hughes, and as he went to make the run, he was blocked off by Clayton Blackmore. And again, Scott Minto thought it was somewhere around the jawline he was blocked off.
Scott Minto, one of those who had to wait until the last moment before knowing if he was in the starting 11. Juninho's pass, releasing Stapp. But again, solid defensive work from Steve Clark. Another of those who wasn't an automatic choice for today, Clark. He has given such outstanding service to Chelsea over the season, indeed down the years. Juninho. Here's Blackmore. Now Emerson. 1 or 2 touches from Emerson, but nothing consistent so far. The free kick going Chelsea's way. Clark will take the free kick for them. Certainly the conditions are going to take their toll. It's, as I was saying earlier on, a really muggy afternoon in London. Hughes with Zola. Now White. Minto in space to his left. Away from Stapp and off of Blackmore. So here is Emerson. Taking on Di Matteo, who clearly blocked him. Such a gifted player, Emerson. But they really need him to take this game by the scruff of its neck. If they're to wrest control from Chelsea. Juninho with Phil Stapp. Just 21, Stapp. Making good progress up at Middlesbrough. Now Zola. Petrescu. This is Clark. Then Minto. Preferred down that left side to Andy Myers, who's among the substitutes. Indeed, to Craig Burley, another contender for a starting place this afternoon. There's the incident again with Juninho. Minutes of the first half remaining. Frank Leboeuf for Chelsea, seeking out and finding Zola, who was eagerly closed down then by Festa. Such a hard tackling player. Oh, great run by Petrescu. But very alert defending too from Fleming. Oh, until he lost his balance. He was unlucky there. He deserved better.
Well, again, it was a tremendous ball from Di Matteo, wasn't it? It really was. And Fleming had to come across on the cover, although Petrescu was in there. And Di Matteo, he's done that on about 5 or 6 occasions in this first half, just delivering little balls on the back of the Middlesbrough defence, causing them all sorts of problems.
Zola and Wise with this corner kick. Went over invitingly by Zola, but too close to Ben Roberts. I don't know how serious this injury is that he's nursing at the moment. An elbow complaint. You heard anything about that at all, Ray?
Well, I don't think it can be that serious, because if it was that serious, I'm sure that Brian Robson would have found another goalkeeper or put Neil Cox on the substitute bench, because he fancies himself a little bit as a substitute goalkeeper, but he hasn't done that. So they must be very confident that whatever that elbow injury is, that he can get through at least the 90 minutes.
Well, here's the goal again. A thunderous strike by Di Matteo. Defenders backing off, it has to be said. But all the same, he has struck it superbly. But Hughes dragging a defender out of his way. Any criticism of the keeper there?
Well, it is in the middle of the goal, but just watch it dip over his head. It hits the underside of the bar as well, and it does go in off the underside of the bar. It's a tremendous strike, but I would think as a goalkeeper, Ben will sit in the dressing room at half-time and think, well, maybe I should have got a touch to it.
And it would have been his first touch. Meantime, there's a booking here for the offence that means a free kick to Middlesbrough in a threatening position. Now, Juninho, Emerson, well, they have something up their sleeves here. Blackmore in the vicinity too, and he can certainly hit a ball from this kind of range, but it's Juninho's flick. Away by Leboeuf. Only as far as Festa. And that's some way over the top from Gianluca Festa. Eddie Newton, incidentally, was the man shown the yellow card. First of the afternoon. Festa, who scored on his debut for Middlesbrough when he first arrived from Inter back in January. And also, of course, scored in the 3-3 draw with Chesterfield, the first semi-final. An epic struggle. Here's Di Matteo, the only scorer at Wembley so far this afternoon. And it came on 43 seconds. Clark. Here's Festa. Now Juninho. He's like a gazelle when he gets into full flow. His run was somewhat crudely curtailed then by Petrescu, Leboeuf.
Yes, and he's so quick, isn't he? He's got such quick feet.
Poor service then to Blackmore. Still not really playing with that much conviction, Middlesbrough. Clark with the clearance. Di Matteo nearly got caught then by Juninho's persistence. Vickers. Wide to Fleming. Played the last few games of the season, Fleming, with Cox left out. Certainly one or two nervous moments from him so far today. That applies to many of the Middlesbrough players. I know Mikkel Beck was saying how nervous he felt in the League Cup final here. Maybe that was the reason behind his omission this afternoon from the start. And as you know yourself, Ray, it can be an intimidating occasion.
Well, it can be, because there's such a massive build-up that you come out onto that pitch and you think, yes, I feel fine. And all of a sudden you start and your legs feel that little bit heavier than they would do normally. And sometimes that doesn't leave you in a game. Sometimes you do a couple of things right and it all goes and you feel as normal. But if you don't do things right, those legs can get heavier and heavier and heavier. And certainly, as you mentioned before, the weather conditions will not help that out there this afternoon if you are feeling a little tired before you start.
Ruud Gullit, who says he could have got himself fit enough to play at least a cameo part today, but felt he was of more benefit at the moment as a coach than he is as a player. Not sure we'd all agree with that, but that was Hewlett's assessment of the situation. So he didn't really push himself to compete for a starting role or indeed a place on the bench. No offside this time against Beck. We're right in line up here. I would have thought that was the wrong decision, but never mind, on we go. Well, they've had so much to endure in recent times, Middlesbrough, their supporters. This is Emerson. Another crunching challenge by Clark. Off goes Di Matteo. Zola to his left. Hughes calls in the middle. Wise now supporting Zola. As defenders step out. Still Zola. Minto. Oh dear. Showed far too much of the ball then to Phil Stamp, and then impeded him.
See, that typified what's gone wrong with Chelsea in this last 20 minutes. Good attacking position. Really, they've got a 4 against 4 situation, and one where you think they're at least going to get a strike on goal, and it just filtered out to nothing in the end. And certainly that's something I'm sure that Ruud Gullit will be saying at half-time. Hey, we're in command, but we've got to finish this game up. There's never a game won when you're only 1-0 up. That's a certainty.
Craig Hignett. Now Blackmore. Finding Juninho. Or rather Festa, sorry, who'd gone across there. I thought it was a poor touch for Juninho. Hughes to Wise. He was crowded out, but unfairly so. Free kick then to Chelsea. Leading by a goal to nil. But after that very convincing start, Middlesbrough have at least begun to claw their way back. Sinclair. Fleming stood his ground well. LeBeuf always seems so unhurried in possession. He's had a super season, Frank LeBeuf. Just took a little while to adapt to the pace and the physical nature of the English game, but once he had settled, he's been outstanding. And his chairman, Ken Bates, says he's the bargain of the season at just over $2 million. Juninho. In goes Di Matteo. Offside Hughes. They're rather cancelling each other out at the moment, right?
Yes, as I say, the last 20 minutes has been a little disappointing because Chelsea promised so much, and you know, you think if they really go for Middlesbrough, they can win this game quite comfortably, but they seem to be happy to just keep possession of the ball, certainly first two-thirds of the field, and then I would presume they think that the second half they'll go on to win this game by 2 or 3, but the longer they just play the possession game and don't go for the throat of Middlesbrough, the more confidence it's going to give Middlesbrough.
Here's Clayton Blackmore. Now Festa, now pushed up into this midfield role. Juninho trying to stretch Chelsea down that right side for Middlesbrough. There always seem to be bodies in the way, though. Gullit deciding not to man-mark Juninho, but all the same, he's so aware of his threat, the menace that he poses. Newton is certainly never too far away. Here's Emerson. Juninho. Well-timed tackle by Di Matteo. Now Petrescu. He's got Hughes and Wise up in support, and Zola as well. Now Frank LeBeuf breaking from the back until he was tripped by Hignett. So a chance here late in the first half for Chelsea to extend their lead. A rash challenge by Craig Hignett. We're into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Minto hovering over the ball, with all eyes as well on Gianfranco Zola, who is now to whip it in, and Roberts to palm it away.
It was a good save, wasn't it? I mean, Zola practices those free kicks so much in training, and people watch him in training and they're amazed the number of balls he actually gets over or around the wall. And you know, yet again he's got that one over down into the bottom corner, and Roberts makes a good save.
So brilliantly whipped in the free kick by Zola. Here he is again now on his left foot this time. And plucked out of the air by Ben Roberts.
To be fair to Ben, he's you know, he's let that goal in where he thought he might have done better. There's the save there. Good movement across to his left-hand side. But apart from that, he's done well in this first half.
Sinclair's header. Juninho just couldn't pull it back. But it will be a corner kick. 1 minute of stoppage time played at the end of the 45. Middlesbrough sending the heavy artillery forward. Vickers at Pearson. Emerson to challenge as well if he can. There's Vickers. Fester. There's a good block in by Dennis Wise. Here's Stapp. Fester! The whistle's gone, it won't count. Well, no emotion, no expression on the face of Brian Robson, but he'll be bitterly disappointed. The header arrowed into the corner, but the assistant referee was flagging over on the far side. So disappointment, frustration for Middlesbrough. There's the half-time whistle. Well, they thought they'd struck back. But Di Matteo's goal proved to be the only one of the half, and it came after just 43 seconds. And he hit it so well. Well, no further goals, and certainly setbacks for Middlesbrough as they lost Ravanelli and Musto through injuries. But I think after that cracking start, we may be expecting more from Chelsea, Ray.
Yes, I think so. You know, they were in so command of the game. You felt they would go in comfortably 2 or 3-0 up at half-time. But certainly in the last 20 minutes, they eased through the game, only attacked spasmodically, and certainly gave Middlesbrough the chance. And it would have been a tragedy for Chelsea if they'd have gone in at half-time 1-1, which could well have happened when Fester had that header disallowed in the last minute, because certainly it was a very, very close decision for offside.
So that will at least give them some heart in readiness for the second half. Middlesbrough, who've had such a disappointing time of late, so anxious for a consolation today. So there we are, the half-time stage in the 1997 FA Cup final. It's Chelsea who lead Middlesbrough by 1-0. The goal from Di Matteo inside the first minute. 1-0 to Chelsea. Well, they had such a lift through that goal on 43 seconds from Di Matteo. And they relaxed into their stride early on, but then Middlesbrough, to their credit, came fighting back. They've had such fluctuating fortunes throughout the season, Middlesbrough. Excitement of reaching 2 cup finals, but then the despair of being relegated. I wonder what they have in store as they look to underline their character now in this second half. No further changes, as we were saying. 2 substitutions made by Middlesbrough because of injuries in the first half, losing Ravanelli and Musto. Here's Clayton Blackmore. Juninho. Glorious flick. But sadly for him, not making any real progress. He is the man who can certainly make things happen for Middlesbrough. And they need him to put on a show now in this second half. Emerson, who's rather been on the periphery of things. But we all know what a good player he can be. He has scored 7 times this season. including one in the cup, Emerson. Good jump by Vickers, who's playing alongside Pearson then in the back line. Fester joining Emerson in midfield. Zola. Laid off by Petrescu. Now it's Eddie Newton. His career has been held up by injuries. He's back in the side these days, Newton. As Mark Hughes is caught offside. Experienced FA Cup campaigner, Mark Hughes. What a signing he's been for Chelsea. £1.5 million. I think you call that a snip. Blackmore. Here's Mickelbeck. The Burf read the play so well. Standing anticipation then by the Frenchman. He wasn't worried about facing Mavinelli today. But it's Juninho and Vancouver confronting him now. Here's Leboeuf. Blackmore. This plays passed by Di Matteo. And it's Fester to steer it back to Ben Roberts. He of the long hair and the Alice band that he uses to keep it in check. Blackmore. Tentative start to the second half by both teams. Here's Nigel Pearson, the Borough captain. Stafford shown for him down his right side, rather overhitting his cross though. Certainly beyond Beck. Luca Vialli just taking his seat and hoping he'll get a taste of the action later in the game. Maybe his last for Chelsea. He seems pretty determined to leave, although Ken Bates, the chairman, isn't so keen, I gather. It all depends really what view Ruud Gullit will take. Of course, it's the form of Mark Hughes that has kept Vialli out of the limelight. Sinclair with this free kick then for Chelsea. Aimed towards Hughes. Emerson. Ignat, a little fortuitous to find him again. Here is Emerson. He has such sublime control and balance when he's in the mood, Emerson. But you never know quite what to expect from him. Phil Stamp to Beck. Too tentative a touch though. On by Petrescu, then Zola. Di Matteo. Zola's up with him. Here's Zola now. Maybe look for the curl into the corner. And Pearson had read his intentions. Ignat to Clayton Blackmore. Ignat again. Fleming has made a run down the left side, but optimistic pass, really. This is Dan Petrescu. Now Newton. And the second half hasn't really got off the ground yet, right?
No, unfortunately, the second half has started the way the first half ended, with one or two little bits of sloppy play. You know, Newton there, no pressure on him. He's got two blue shirts to hit who are no more than 10 yards away from him, and he puts it out of touch. And that's the way Chelsea played towards the end of the first half. And, you know, Middlesbrough haven't started too well either, but Juninho has been in space on about 4 or 5 occasions pleading for the ball, and they keep ignoring him at the moment. And for Middlesbrough to get back in this game, I think he's the man who's got to have lots of the ball.
Free kick to Chelsea. Won by Vickers. This is Sinclair. Of course, gave away a penalty on Chelsea's last visit here back in '94. So did Eddie Newton. So you can imagine how keen they are to be on the winning side and experience a change of fortune today. All decked out for the occasion. Really is a colourful affair. The whole stadium full of red to one side and blue to my left. It is Zola. Chipped beyond Dennis Wise, though. Well, Ruud Gullit says his own future with Chelsea is still the subject of some debate. They clearly want him to commit himself for the long term. I think he feels he needs more commitment from them. Still, what exactly they have in mind, what they're aiming for. I'm sure he'll be staying. But they must match, he says, my ambition. And he certainly won't settle for the mediocre. Here's Juninho, who is anything but that. Again, well read by Leboeuf. Commanding the Chelsea back line. On by Wise. Sinclair's back pass to Foda Grudash, who hasn't had a great deal to do, in truth. And Hughes caught offside. Here's Pearson with a kick. Stamp going through. And Leboeuf just did enough to deny him there. He's made one or two useful sorties forward, Phil Stamp. Young man who's come up through the youth system at Borough.
Well, you feel a little bit unfortunate there for Middlesbrough. It has to be a corner, doesn't it? Phil Stamp played it off Leboeuf. And the linesman who's facing it totally ignored it.
Rather curious decision.
Sorry, the assistant referee.
Assistant referee, Ray, you have to call them these days. But it's rather lacking in incident at the moment. The cup final. Chelsea in front, but certainly not that dominant. Here's Hughes. Maybe they can change all that. Linking with Di Matteo. Hugo Zola. Here's Zola now. Well, Robertson rather lost his bearings. Vickers was there to help him out. Such ingenuity then from Chelsea.
Well, Di Matteo yet again, that ball inside the fullback. But unfortunately Zola's under so much pressure he can't control it.
Fleming's header away. Newton with Juninho, who drifted away from him. He's got no support at all. Juninho. One against four defenders. Di Matteo sends him flying to the turf, and surely will be cautioned for that. The hero earlier on is the villain of the piece now. Juninho in full stride until upended by Roberto Di Matteo. 10 minutes into the second half. Well, we saw what Zola can do from this range in the first half for Chelsea. Now it's Juninho's turn in the red of Middlesbrough. Chelsea with everybody back defending. Not defending far enough back, though, for the referee's liking, Stephen Lodge. Ushering them further in retreat. Juninho, Emerson lurking just behind Juninho. Emerson trying to distract the players in that Chelsea wall. Grudash on his line, prancing cat-like along it. Here's Juninho, straight at that wall. Blackmore to fire it back in again, but to no avail. Wasted opportunity for Middlesbrough. Blackmore. Now it's Fester. Newton clearance, releasing Petrescu. Hughes. Neat little turn by Hughes, but they rather lost the momentum a little. Here's Wise. Oh, what a good ball. Petrescu. First touch wasn't bad, in goes Hughes. Just nicked away then by Curtis Fleming. Juninho offside, Mikkel Beck. Mistiming his run as defenders step forward. Well, they were on their feet in anticipation, the Middlesbrough fans.
Well, Juninho had it all to do here, didn't he? 3 players around him. Just caught there by Di Matteo, but certainly the referee right not to give him a red card, because there was 2 other blue shirts that Juninho would have to have got past to get a strike on target.
Hughes. Fleming barging into him. Hughes as ever so competitive in the tackle. Minto. Here's Dennis Wise, the Chelsea captain. Played in for Zola, but way off the target. Zola twisting and turning, then releasing Minto. Right across the face of the goal, and Steve Vickers maybe not having too much of a call there, having to concede the corner under no real pressure. Minto, who supplied the cross. Frank Sinclair going up. He seems to be carrying a bandage at the moment. Clark at the far post, but some pushing. Well, here is Sinclair. It's yes, he's got a bump on the head, so it's an ice pack, in fact. And the ice pack will come in handy anyway on this very warm afternoon. Well, again, they've not looked across the line. Juninho, Mikkel Beck. That's frustrating for forwards. They've got to think about it more. The Chelsea fans doing their utmost now to lift their team. They were certainly in charge early on in this cup final, but not so much so now. Middlesbrough still in the reckoning. Steve Clark. Now Pearson. A League Cup winner, of course, with Sheffield Wednesday back in '91. It's Zola trying to set it up for Hughes. Flying header away by Pearson. Petrescu. Now Sinclair supporting down that right side for Chelsea. Here's Zola. Again, such subtle play from the Italian. Petrescu's chip. That was Hughes, offside. It's a bit livelier now, Ray, anyway. Well, yes, I mean, how many times we've seen Mark Hughes score with those sort of goals before, but certainly you can see over that far side there is an offside decision. Zola. And Hughes, he didn't make good contact with it anyway, but he's had an excellent afternoon as Mark Hughes, and you know, if anybody deserved a goal, it would be him for his hard work this afternoon. Hoping to become only the 4th player this century to score in 3 different finals, Mark Hughes. Ian Wright and Ian Rush among the earlier ones. Oh, yet again offside. Beck's the culprit. Time and time again he's been caught. Well, I'm sure he'd love to be out there, Brian Robson. Not too much more he can do now. Now, I'm sure they talked about it at half-time because they were caught offside on numerous occasions in that first half, and I'm sure that Robson did talk to them about it. Hughes is onside here and going for goal too. Well, that was one option open open to him. There was support arriving through the middle, but he chose to go it alone. Here's Stapp. Juninho calling in the centre, making his run through now. Sinclair with that defensive header, then Emerson a little aimlessly towards Fleming. Because Emerson. What do you know? Offside. Well, Tony Blair, the new Prime Minister, among those watching today, and Lennart Johansson, I think that is as well, the UEFA president. Very much a universal interest today in this cup final. Remember, over 160 countries beaming in. Newton. Now it's Scott Minto. Here's Zola. Trying to tease his Italian compatriot Festa. He was having none of it. Kick taken quickly, too quickly. The referee wants to take Festa's name first.
Well, I think it's quite right as well. Festa has got away with a number of things in this game, and there he virtually took the shirt off Zola. He had hold of the back of the shirt whenever he was trying to touch the ball, and I think quite rightly there the referee said enough's enough. I've let you away with 3 or 4 things, and that's the last thing.
He and Zola, remember, old boyhood chums from their days together back in their home country. Sinclair all the way back to Ferda Grodash. He says he'd like to score a goal in a Wembley Cup final. Maybe a mite optimistic. Was that ever your ambition as well, Ray?
I got a nosebleed if I came 40 yards from goal and I might go to the other end of the pitch.
He's serious. He says if we're 2 or 3 up with 5 minutes to go, I'm going upfield. He has scored one, I gather, in Norwegian football.
There's a slight difference between Norwegian league football.
I think we can safely assume if it's still 1-0, he won't be travelling upfield. Flicked on by Beck. Leboeuf slipped by him. That was nearly so costly. Well, Festa arrived on the scene pretty late. But that was nearly very embarrassing for Frank Leboeuf, who's normally so short-footed at the back.
Well, he's been so good throughout this game, but took his eye off the ball there, and Festa got his foot to it, just couldn't wrap it round to turn it on target.
Injured in the process, though, Gianluca Festa, who started at the back, but now playing in midfield and getting opportunities to advance as well, even though he mainly has the anchor role. Trying to check the influence of Zola, Gianluca Festa, but he's got forward once or twice to good effect. Here's Zola now. Dennis Wise. The support play from Scott Minto. That was cleverly done too. Minto's cross. No real threat from Zola in the air. Juninho. Off goes Curtis Fleming now. Out of play. Throw to Chelsea. Almost halfway through the second half. Still no sign of a Middlesbrough equaliser. No sign of the balance of power changing. There's certainly no room for Chelsea to relax. Festa to Blackmore. Beck did really well then to work it on to Juninho. Leboeuf. That was a crucial challenge then by Leboeuf, with Beck just behind him. Hignett. Then Beck, the Danish international. Faced by a whole posse of Chelsea defenders. This is Emerson. Good skill from the Brazilian. chase is on with Vickers covering the run of Mark Hughes. Pearson. Juninho having to fetch it from a deep position. This is Di Matteo for Chelsea. Hughes, Di Matteo again. Zola's run. Still Zola. Might go all the way through here. Just a ricochet. Away to Dennis Wise. Newton. This is Sinclair. It was Fester's challenge that brought that move to an end. Fleming. Way by Leboeuf. But now it's Juninho with no real support around him. Di Matteo. Petrescu onside. He's got Hughes ahead of him. And his shirt was being tugged in. Pearson, surely. Di Matteo to win it back for Chelsea. Still Di Matteo. And Hughes. Feels for handball. Nothing given. Juninho. The game beginning to open up now. Here's Emerson. Away from Wise. Still Emerson. Good tackle from Clark. Juninho. Oh, it's wide of Stan, who's prepared to hustle and bustle for the ball. But he did so in an illegal fashion. But that was better than from Middlesbrough. Threatening to open Chelsea up at last. Juninho having words with the assistant referee. In what language, I'm not sure. But again, they're not really stretching this man, Frode Grodash. Chelsea's Norwegian goalkeeper. Pearson. He's picked out Fleming. Great ball from Pearson. Onside back. It all stemmed then from the vision of Pearson. Can Middlesbrough capitalise? Not this time. Here's Di Matteo on the break for Chelsea. Still Di Matteo. Hughes is in the middle. Zola and Wise. Di Matteo forcefully going on. Hughes! Well, the script was ready then for a spectacular entry from Mark Hughes.
A superb play by Di Matteo, though, wasn't it? He's been outstanding throughout the game. He breaks from the middle of the field. He's so strong running with the ball, and he causes opposition defences with that strong running. And certainly there, he waited and waited. Eventually tried to pick out Mark Hughes, but Mark just couldn't get good enough contact to cause Ben Roberts a problem.
I think Leboeuf has a problem at the moment. Chelsea defender seems to be limping a little and not running too freely.
Yes, that just came from a couple of minutes ago. He went into a tackle with Craig Hignett and came out the worst from it. But I think it's only a kick. I don't think it's anything that's twisted. I'm sure he'll be okay and run that off in a couple of minutes.
This is Juninho, and then Hignett to take it off him. Is that allowed? 20 minutes to go. Fleming. He wants to play building up around Juninho, but now he's in the central role again. Here's Juninho. He has a wonderful balance. Emerson. Still Emerson trying to plough his way past Eddie Newton, who did really well to stay with him then. Good defending. Zola has only Hughes for support. Maybe exhaustion beginning to creep in, but not for Zola. Still Zola! What a good stop by Ben Roberts. He got his angles absolutely right there. After some wonderful jet-kick play from Gianfranco Zola.
I'm actually not too sure that Ben Roberts knew too much about that save, but he managed to get his body in the way of it, and that was the most important thing.
You're just being hard on him. layman, it was a good save. But it was in the right place, and that was the point.
Well, what a tremendous run from Zola in the first place.
Well, Leboeuf is now going to be cautioned. Yellow card for the French international.
I mean, he's been nearly felled twice. He's gone past two people, looks up, he can't find anybody to play it with to start off with.
Ignet. Di Matteo. Both teams now looking to exploit the wide open spaces of Wembley if they can find them.
Well, I think Middlesbrough now are really trying to push forward, obviously get this equaliser. In doing so, when they give possession away, then it gives Chelsea that chance to actually hit them on the counter-attack. And more and more goals these days at the top end are being scored on the counter-attack.
Well, here's the run again from Zola. Did so well then to retain possession. Cunning inside. And, well, Roberts almost had his path blocked then. Meantime, Roberts had to be brave again as he came hurtling out of goal. Certainly Mark Hughes wasn't going to pull out of that challenge. So a throw then to Chelsea, which Dan Petrescu will take. Another goal now, and maybe their name will be on the cup. It'll be Zola with the free kick. Frank Sinclair is forward. Hughes in there too, of course. And Steve Clark arriving now. It's behind for another corner of Nigel Pearson. Rob Vickers. I don't think he knew too much about it. Vickers, who was Middlesbrough's Player of the Year last season. Now even Middlesbrough has come back to defend. It's only Juninho outside their own penalty box, Middlesbrough. As Chelsea strive for the cushion of a second goal. Zola's cross. That was Vickers. This is Petrescu. And it bobbled rather unkindly for him there. So behind for the goal kick, and a chance for us to bring in Steve Bruce, who of course is watching the game with us today. Steve, what do you make of the second half now?
Well, the game's eventually stretching out, isn't it? There's gaps starting to appear as tired legs start to take place. It's important that with Middlesbrough pushing up the way they are, they don't get themselves overexposed at the back. That's the telling thing. So it'll be interesting to see with the substitution now with Kindred on for Hignett. I wonder which positions he's got to play, because Brian hasn't got many options left, of course, with the two substitutions he had to make earlier.
Thanks, Steve. Well, Kinder will certainly slot in down that left side, and he is a very attack-minded player. The Slovakian international. He's been the Slovakian Player of the Year for the past couple of seasons. Not an automatic choice for Middlesbrough. He's been rather in and out of the team since he arrived. But on now, deep into this second half, as Emerson sends Dennis Wise crashing to the turf. There are 15 minutes to go. Wise, who as ever has covered so much ground for Chelsea this afternoon. Emerson. Kinder setting off down the left. Oh, Fester nearly found him there due to a miscalculation from Frank Sinclair.
I think Frank Sinclair might have known what he was doing there, do you? Just ducked underneath it and let it go out for a throw in.
All part of the plan. Leboeuf lofting it forward. Offside, I think Zola this time.
One of the big differences between the two sides has been that whenever the ball's gone up to Mark Hughes, he's kept hold of it for the team and managed to link everything together. Unfortunately for Middlesbrough on most occasions, when the ball's gone forward to Mikkel Beck, it's been lost, and they've had no time, nobody to hold the ball to build play up in the last third of the field.
There's no disrespect to Mikkel Beck for the loss of Ravanelli. It was such a blow for Middlesbrough, of his presence, his belligerence in leading their attack. He says 31 goals this season will underline. No wonder now have we seen the last of Fabrizio Ravanelli in a Middlesbrough shirt, and indeed of this man, Juninho. It's rumoured that around about half the team, the regulars, have threatened to leave. And Brian Robson may well have his work cut out, keeping the side together, at least most of them. It would be such a bonus to win today and clinch a place in Europe. But there's still a goal down. Di Matteo after 43 seconds for Chelsea. The free kick going Middlesbrough's way now. Pearson wants to get on with it. He took a bit of a battering there. Emerson and Blackmore sorting out this free kick as Vickers advances. And Pearson a little belatedly. Blackmore with the cross. Well, they've got to take a risk or two now, or the day will be lost. Kinder, who's got plenty of pace. Sinclair's clearance, which has Fleming chasing back. Emerson. Oh, splendid turn. Juninho. Beck is in the middle. 2-2, and in fact they had 4 in there if he could have serviced them. Kinder. Juninho. This is Fleming. Juninho again. And far too close to Frode Grodash. Well, he's given so much for Middlesbrough's cause over the season, Juninho. And if he is to go, how he would love to give them a parting gift today of a Wembley goal or two. Pearson winning the battle with Hughes this time. Fleming. Juninho, how Middlesbrough need his sorcery now. Off he goes. But away from Di Matteo. Not from Clark. Or from Scott Minto. 2 pretty sturdy challenges there from the Chelsea men. Chip through. What a good save from Grodash. Oh, Steve Vickers very alive then to the possibilities.
Well, it was Juninho, wasn't it? Lightning thinking there and delivering the ball to him.
Such a quick piece of thinking from the Brazilian.
Now, this is a good save from Grodash. He's had nothing to do all this half. He's kept his concentration, spread himself, and gave Vickers really nothing of the goal to aim at.
Released by Juninho. Vickers with a real chance then for Middlesbrough. This is Blackmore. We're into the last 10 minutes now of the cup final. Chelsea 1, Middlesbrough 0. This is Curtis Fleming, wanting some movement ahead of him.
Well, they have problems with Curtis there. I mentioned it at the start of the game, because all the time he's a right-footed player playing left back, and every time the ball comes to him, he has to bring it on that inside onto his right foot. And whereas when you've got somebody naturally left-footed, all sorts of angles will open up for you when you can play with that left foot down that channel. But whenever he's got it, he has to deliver it with his right foot, and that sometimes nullifies good moves for them.
So further frustration for Brian Robson and his 2 substituted players from the first half. Musto and Ravanelli watching now from the bench. Robson, of course, himself 3 times an FA Cup winner from his days with Manchester United. But at the moment, it looks as if he's going to end up on the losing side as Gianluca Vialli begins to limber up. Pearson. Beck onside for once, but with no accuracy on that downward header. He has been guilty so often, Nickelback, of not appreciating what's going on around him. Dash with that very important stop from Steve Vickers. Now it's Zola. The second would surely clinch it now for Chelsea. Dennis Wise, tumbled but not fouled by Blackmore, in the eyes of referee Lodge. Pearson. Kinder over on that far side. Couldn't show his acceleration though, thanks to the endeavours of Frank Sinclair. Kinder. Now Juninho. Couldn't feed Festa. So here is Di Matteo to Zola, the footballer of the year. Now Scott Minto. Here's Zola again with Dennis Wise. Is he going to be the man to hold aloft the FA Cup in a few minutes' time? Leboeuf to Wise. Now Newton to take it on. He's got Petrescu ahead of him, and Hughes. This is Petrescu. And Zola, it's in. Eddie Newton has made it 2 for Chelsea. And surely now the cup is theirs. Eddie Newton, the man who in '94 gave away a penalty as Manchester United stormed the victory. Well, it's a different story today. A big smile from Newton. Chelsea, to the dismay of Brian Robson, extend their lead.
Well, it was a very well-worked goal, wasn't it? I mean, it was a number of passes struck together, opened up the Middlesbrough defence, and Zola's put the pass with the outside of his foot back to Newton was outstanding. But it was Newton's run in the first place that opened it up. Ball to Petrescu here, a delightful little ball to Zola at the back post. Zola didn't panic, knew what he had to do, outside of the right foot. There you go, nice little goal for you, Eddie. But it's a superb move and one that deserved a goal.
Such sublime improvisation from Gianfranco Zola. Juninho, maybe Middlesbrough aren't finished yet. But it's going to be very, very hard for them now. Such a deft ball to the far post from Petrescu. Well, that trick from Zola totally unhinged Middlesbrough defensively. And there was Newton to steer it in. A man who's had to fight back from big injury problems in the past, Eddie Newton. Ruud Gullit is a big fan. Even more so now.
Well, he's one of the unsung heroes in the side, isn't he? He's the one who's always sat in front of the back 4 or back 3, whichever way Ruud Gullit decides to play his side. And that's really the first time in the game he's broke out of that position and let Dennis Wise sit there. And he gets a goal for his endeavours.
His first ever in the FA Cup. Di Matteo. Vickers had seen the run of Zola. Emerson. Oh, the Chelsea fans in great voice now around Wembley Stadium. It's a sea of blue over on that far side, and to my right, well, so disheartening for those who've come down from the northeast to follow the fortunes of Middlesbrough today. 5 minutes left. 5 minutes for Chelsea to hold on. 5 minutes for Middlesbrough to save the FA Cup final and indeed their season. Free kick to Chelsea. Now is Vialli going to get the few minutes of action he's been craving for. Zola, another teasing run. Hughes, Zola. Well, he thought it was a foul, but the referee didn't concur with that opinion. Juninho hustled out of it by Hughes. Now it's Petrescu, the man who set up the second goal, along with Zola. Di Matteo, who scored the first. Wise. Wise again. Confidence oozing from Chelsea now. Minto, he won't keep that in play. too much. As Ruud Gullit here, the victory rostrum. Sinclair tried to nudge it back to his goalkeeper, and there wasn't too much room for error. With Kinder sprinting behind him. Juninho with a corner kick. Vickers and Pearson are both up. Emerson on that near post. Leboeuf managed to squeeze it away. And as far as Blackmore. Now Vickers. Bit of a miss kick really from Sinclair, but it fell into the path of Dennis Wise. And I don't think any neutral would deny or begrudge Middlesbrough at least a consolation goal today.
No, it really has been an incredible season for them. So much promise, and everything has gone wrong for them.
Offside. Well, a flashing header from Middlesbrough, but the flag was clearly raised, and there was no defensive reaction to him. A couple of players probably off there. Certainly Middlesbrough. Now, is Vialli going to appear? I would think so now. They're preparing him to come on. You haven't got too long, Luca. I don't think he'll mind now. He just wants to get out there.
Yes, I mean, it's every professional's dream to play an FA Cup final, no matter how short or how long, and it looks like he's going to get the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Stapp, Beck's onside, but Clark was too strong for him to experience. And a really solid game at the back. Now, Luca Vialli will make his entrance at long last. He's had his differences, of course, with Ruud Gullit this season. The two have fallen out. And it does seem that Vialli will be on his way after just one season. And it's Zola who will make way for him. And just listen to the reception that he is receiving now from the Chelsea fans. A broad grin from Vialli. One Italian takes the place of another. And Vialli can tell his grandchildren now, I have played in an FA Cup final at Wembley. Stapp's header over the bar. And it just hasn't been Middlesbrough's afternoon. They've toiled away, certainly Stapp has. But without that little bit of craft, and certainly without the finishing required on the afternoon. I think if you look back right over the 90 minutes, he hasn't really had that many saves to make, Bodo Grodash.
No, the most important one was just a few minutes ago there, when Vickers certainly, had the chance, and Grodash did well, stood up, made himself big, and made it impossible for Vickers to get the ball in the net. But that was his most difficult save, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, Emerson getting tangled up with Dennis Wise. The referee will maybe want words with them both. To stoppage time. Just a question now of how much is to be added on from the watch of referee Stephen Lodge. Wise for Chelsea. Here's Vialli. That'll be a relief for him. He's had a touch. Di Matteo, who had such a significant one in the very first minute of the game. Roberts just launching it forward. But it will need a miracle now for Middlesbrough to save this game, which is really drifting away from them right from that opening goal in the first minute. They certainly had a period in the first half when they looked to be edging their way back, but they've had no real cutting edge. Newton to Frank Leboeuf. Here's Vialli. Got through there. Steve Vickers just lunged down a leg in time. Wise with the corner. Eddie Newton. Now it's Sinclair to Levert. Well, understandably, Middlesbrough heads are dropping now. Another day of dejection for them in this quite extraordinary season. That's it. The FA Cup belongs to Chelsea. At long last, their 26-year wait for a major trophy is over. Dream finale to Ruud Gullit's first season as manager, as he becomes the first foreign coach to win a major English trophy, shaking hands with his opposite number, Brian Robson. A wonderful day for Chelsea, but your hearts go out to Middlesbrough, whose efforts this season have finally ended without reward. Beaten 2-0 today. We can take a look back now on the 2 goals. Inside the first minute, just 43 seconds, when Di Matteo pounced. The Italian who's come to Chelsea this season. What a dream start for him, with Ben Roberts beaten. And then the second goal late on that settled it for Chelsea. Zola's wonderful layback then, and Eddie Newton to sweep in the second. Well, 2 losing cup finals now to accompany the despair of relegation for Brian Robson. He'll be struggling to keep his chin up now. Nigel Pearson, such a character and such a good servant too to Middlesbrough. Well, he's finished up on the losing side. And they have followed Manchester City, Leicester and Brighton by failing to win the FA Cup in the same season as falling from the top flight. Ravanelli, who gave it his best shot early on, but then the injury that he suffered against Manchester United up at Old Trafford came back to haunt him, and he couldn't continue. And maybe Ray, with his departure, so went Middlesbrough's chances.
Well, I think so. I mean, he didn't really have too much space to work in before he went off, but certainly when he went off, they just had nothing up the front. They never at any stage looked like they were going to score. Certainly, you know, Mickelbeck, whenever the ball was played up there, invariably gave the ball away. They had nothing to build on. All they were hoping for was Juninho could provide a little bit of magic and maybe wriggle his way through, but it just wasn't going to be.
And that is always the saddest part of Cup final day, to see the faces of the losers. Kinder, we were looking at a moment or so ago. Frank Leboeuf, who for the most part was imperious at the back again for Chelsea, as he's been all season really. Ruud Gullit giving his thoughts on the game. How it went for Chelsea, and no doubt his plans for the future, and he has big plans. And the first of those, of course, was to get into the European Cup Winners' Cup next season, and his team have achieved that, as they now milk the applause of the Chelsea fans. It's been, as I was saying, a long wait for them. The Cup Winners' Cup way back in 1971 was their last major success, having won the Cup against Leeds the previous year. Di Matteo, well, the Italian job today, he scored the first goal, certainly played his part with his industry in midfield. And Dennis Wise, a loser in '94, but now he can experience the other side of the coin for the first time as a captain. He was a winner, of course, with Wimbledon back in '88. But you have to feel for this man, Ray Juninho. We saw him in tears last week on the pitch at Ellen Road, and he's going to be suffering again.
Well, he has, yes. I mean, he's given everything yet again. You know, at times it looked like he was going to create something, and he just missed out with the final pass, or missing out by beating the last defender. But, you know, effort-wise, you can't expect any more from him. And, I mean, the interesting thing, all those fans that are sat to our right-hand side in the red and white, they'll be thinking to themselves, are we going to see him next year? And the general feeling is that he won't be with them next year. And, you know, there's lots of talk that will he go to Manchester United? I don't know, but there'll be no shortage of clubs wanting him, that's a certainty.
Well, Atletico Madrid, it seems, are the favourites, but he has expressed, we gather, an interest to stay in England, and certainly Manchester United will be a major draw for him. But every prospect that he won't be playing for Middlesbrough again. But you cannot knock the contribution that he has made. Ruud Gullit celebrating with goalkeeper Fode Grodash, who made a couple of very significant stops without being stretched all that often. Margaret Hullet never gives too much away, but he'll be relishing this moment. While in contrast, Brian Robson has only to reflect on a season that ended in failure for him. A season that promised so much. He invested in the foreigners. He tried to ally English industry with Latin flair. It so nearly paid off. 2 cup finals. Remember how close they were to winning the League Cup too against Leicester. Before that, equaliser from Emil Heskey, and then the Steve Claridge goal that undid them in the replay up at Hillsborough. And now Chelsea have triumphed in the FA Cup final to deny Middlesbrough a first major trophy in their 120-year history. Gordon Taylor there for the PFA, offering an arm of consolation to Nigel Pearson. Well, he certainly didn't deserve to be on the losing side. So the Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Kent, as Tony Blair offers his sympathy to Nigel Pearson, the Royal Highnesses prepare to hand over the losers' medals. You certainly can't help feeling when you look back over the season, if Pearson had played more games, maybe they wouldn't have found themselves in relegation trouble. They won only 2 of their last 19 in the league, but the damage really had been done before that anyway. Too many goals conceded, 60 in all. Many of those in the absence of Pearson. And here then is Fabrizio Ravanelli, who was so anxious to play today, to play his part. It wasn't really to be, as he limped off so early on in the contest, along with Robbie Mustoe, of course, who was also injured in that first half. So Juninho, watched by his mentor Pele today in the crowd. He was hoping too that Mario Zagallo would be here, but I don't think he made it in the end, the Brazilian coach. Juninho says, though, he must play top-flight football to sustain his international career. That's why I think he will be departing. Well, this is all about the FA Cup, and it will be handed over in a moment or two to Dennis Wise. And he's a chirpy little fellow, such a character, and he'll be loving this moment. Well, he's one of the smallest ever to lift the trophy. Might be too much for him. You better not drop it, Dennis. A moment to savour. Remember 94 when he was on the losing side. Steve Clarke, what a fitting end then to his 10 years of service at Chelsea. Mark Hughes, well, he's seen it all before, but this will mean as much to him as all those earlier successes, I'm sure. And behind him, Frank Leboeuf. Eric Cantona, of course, the Frenchman who won the Cup for Manchester United last season. Now another Frenchman on the winning side. And no doubts really, Ray, that on the day, they were the better team overall.
No, they certainly were. They deserved it. I thought they would have won it more comfortably than what they did with the amount of possession they had. Middlesbrough really only had 20 minutes of the first half, and apart from that, Chelsea were in control, and for me, definitely deserved the trophy.
Chelsea, FA Cup winners, 1997.